Well, hello folks. I think today I'm gonna do a little walk and ramble. It has been a while, and I'm gonna talk about ponds and vernal pools, what the difference is, and also talk a little bit about what you're looking at right here. This is not a pond, it is a vernal pool. What's the difference? So a pond, generally speaking, doesn't dry up. Now, maybe if you have a 50-year drought or a 100-year drought, then maybe it's okay for something to be called a pond if it still dries up. But generally speaking, it's full of water year-round. I don't think there is a requirement for necessarily how big it has to be. I've seen little pools 5 feet in diameter that have water year-round. And then I've seen people dig, 20 feet deep, an acre, wide, and it dries up every year. So I'm going to go with my my definition, which is a pond, generally speaking, has to hold water, and it's not as big as a lake. But the minimum size, just as long as it holds water year-round. In the ground, I would say should be a natural bottom. I'm going to go with natural bottom for it to be a pond, I guess. I'm not a stickler for that. Anyway, you get the idea. And a vernal pool dries up. In fact, they should dry up. It's actually good for the ecosystem, especially in a forest. If you don't know much about them, go ahead and go read about them. Little organisms that only live in vernal pools, really useful. And in fact, what you're staring at right now on screen and have been staring at is a vernal pool. It dries up every year, and ever since it's been here, it's dried up. It was a much more shallow pool that I kind of have just used the water and robbed it of soil for other areas in the garden to kind of deepen it and reshape it for my own purposes. And the reason why I decided to do a walk and ramble today is the temperatures have just really cooled off. It's not going to get too cold, in the low 40s, high 30s. But we've also finally caught up with what? Well, we were in a drought. We've been in a drought 2 years in a row, and we finally have water back in the water table where we'll actually fill up these little vernal pools. See, here's the overflow that I've dug out. I'm going to continue to dig out and rob of soil, and as it gets wet and sediment rolls in, this soil just gets richer and richer. So it makes really good garden soil, and at the same time I'm digging it out to hold more water. Rain catchment. So in this vernal pool, there's a overflow this way into a existing overflow area. It was a creek is what this was, that just ran right through here on that side. And I've kind of dug all this out. What would happen is the creek would have flooding and it would overflow in heavy rain events. And then this area here would just have water sitting, just a little mosquito bed. And so I've just continued to dig it out. There's another drain right here. It's actually a little bit lower than the first one I showed you. So that way whenever it starts to overflow, it starts coming through here first to fill up that right there. And you may not be able to see it, but way back here there's a little pink color. That's a flag for the next overflow pool that will exist, the last one. And then all of them overflow this way to exit the property. So I'm pretty fortunate to have this. It's not a small yard, but it isn't acreage. It's 0.8 acres. So to have something like this is useful. Doesn't take much to keep it somewhat full. You see that it doesn't go all the way to the top. I do have a leak in the dam. There's still plenty of work to do. This direction is actually uphill this way, and I actually own 100 feet going that direction. So there's actually a pool of water just on the other side of this fence, so I can probably utilize that in the future. You can see water standing here. So these beds stay pretty well hydrated when we have somewhat consistent rain, at least. Now, where does this vernal pool get its water? Well, some of it, of course, is seeping through the ground, but also this seasonal creek which has been here since I've been here, that comes from off my property. And it doesn't take very much flow from this creek for it to keep that pond full. It can be very, very low. That's not the only source. You can see here there's a little trench that comes around, and then you start to see water. Okay? And you see we have some wild onion growing along the banks and some little blue stem grass. There we go. Comes up like this. And like so. You see there's water here flowing down. Where from? Okay, there's little rocks here to make it easier to walk because it is extremely wet, soggy. And that goes all the way up to that corner. So that water from there is seeping from the bottom of this rock wall, and also of course the water that comes from my roof during the rain events comes this way and flows. It's an old rain catch experiment that I did, but as of right now the rain is long gone, so all this water continuing to come is coming from here and flowing down. So, and this water I've had tested is extremely clean. So that's also flowing into this pond. If I wanted, I could do a gray water system from my bathroom or something into here, not a black water system, but like your sinks and your showers, and that would easily keep this pond full. But what I'd rather do is just keep digging it until I get to the depth that I want, and then seal it where the leaks are. There's a lot of ways I can do that, and maybe I'll make a video on it when I actually do it. But another place that we get water into that thing is right here. So this is my lazy man's swale. I did have a video a long time ago I made, that's what I called them. But basically this is old rotten logs and compost and some dirt that because I have done some digging on the other side and piled it over here. And for the last few days there has been water standing here just on the other side of this. It's got a lot more work to do. And there was a little bit of water standing here. I started digging up in here for another swale, and I can do that all the way up this hill. And I have been when I get time. And that would increase how much water gets into this channel that I've already showed you that's already got water in it, and gets channeled ultimately into the vernal pool. So maybe one day, if I keep at this, that vernal pool will no longer be that. It'll be a pond. And it'll have water year round. Or at least most of the year. That'd be real nice. Maybe I can set it up with some kind of pump system or something like that if it doesn't hold water all year round. But ideally it would be just holding water all the time. So yeah. I've done a video on this, on how the water actually flows on the property, on this part of the property. But I've not been fortunate to be able to catch it in action like this. So you can actually see how I'm stopping that water and what potential there is for additional capture. So that's not a bad walk and talk, I guess. All right, maybe we can walk around some more and see what the spring atmosphere looks like just here at the end. Capture some flowers and some trees in bloom just as a nice little ambience. Ambience.